internet and tech crew who helped me. I've never done that before, but thank you so much for all the help. So, basically, one of the things I think that we kind of need to take away from this project, if anything, is that this school is a lot more diverse than a lot of people give it credit to be. And you know, the immigrants, they are so isolated, unfortunately, in the ESL program. There's, you know, while essential to their success here and learning English is so crucial to that, being so isolated as they are, it's a real shame because then you don't really get to appreciate all the diversity that we have here. And I'll go a little bit more into that. So I'm going to start by talking about what I kind of actually know about, which is the photographs. Yeah, that's kind of my thing if you didn't know. But basically, when I started this project, it was about a month or two into the school year, and I knew, looking back on what I'd done last year, I'd done a project about the unsung heroes of RHS, and I kind of looked at photojournalism as a whole, and you know, it's capturing a story to inspire others to do something about something that needs change. And the most fascinating photographs that drew my eye were these a few photographs like you see here, taken from this bird's eye view. That kind of, you know, there's a story and a huge part of everyone's identity that can be told in one photograph, but these kind of give you a sense of the situation around them, and what that does is, you know, it puts the focus on what they're doing and how that is a huge part of who they are. The Immigrant Story. What is this project? Like I said, I started it way back in the beginning of the year. I'd done like, my dad is like the ideas man. He's, I'll probably be coming to him when I'm 40. Because he's just pretty good at that stuff. But we were talking, and for those of you who don't know, immigration, it runs in the family. My father's dad moved from England to South Africa after World War II, and then my dad, my mom, my brother, and myself moved here to the U.S. When I was 2, then to England, and now we are back here. You guys, I don't know why my accent's not coming out. It usually comes out when I'm nervous, but whatever. You know, immigration and our experience as immigrants, it's really a huge part of who I am and who we are. Being multicultural is, like Arota said in the video, an incredible benefit to one's maturity, and to be able to take on multiple perspectives when dealing with anything in life is really valuable. So that's kind of why we came up with the idea, is looking at our own story of being immigrants and noticing that there is a larger than most would think, immigrant population in our school. So I basically started working with a few of the families. I think I worked with a total of like somewhere around 15 to 20 different immigrant families, which is again a small population of all the immigrants in our area. But their stories are so unbelievably incredible. I urge you these have all gone to sleep. But they're all on my website, and I encourage you to read the individual stories because each one is so different. And if you got the invite or if you saw the promo kind of thing, I say that each immigrant, when they come here, they go through an experience so broadly labeled because it's so different depending on who the person is and where they come from and what kind of barriers they're going to have to overcome. So one of the things in my work, a pattern that's emerged this year, is focusing on identity, focusing on my own identity, how I've grown, focusing on the identity of those around me, a lot of my peers. And I actually wrote an article that I got a lot of backlash for, but it totally worked, so no worries. But you know, this pursuit of identity that I think we all go through is really an incredible part of who we are and who we become. And I know my peers can relate. You go through high school and through middle school and through university and through life, and you have this need. All humans have this need for acceptance and to feel like they are a part of something. And so we go and we, try to fit in, or we make friendships, and maybe we aren't who we are in those friendships. But eventually it gets to a point where you are thriving and you are happy with where you are. But in that pursuit, there is so much emotional stress that goes through your mind, and so much that you experience. So imagine all that and throw immigration into it. Kind of causes a bit of a problem for whoever that is. So basically, after spending a year with these families, I've come up with a whole really long list of basically observations and insights about what you will go through, or what most people will go through as an immigrant. So of course, Ms. Black said in the video, the biggest thing is language. Language is a huge, huge obstacle for anyone who moves here, and anyone in the world really, if you move anywhere. I mean, you look at an Asian student or a Korean student who comes here, they have to start from kindergarten. They don't even know the alphabet. That is a massive obstacle to have to overcome. And for other English language learners, you have these synonyms, endless amounts of synonyms. The way we express ourselves as English speakers is like on a completely another level from most other languages. And most other languages, the culture that comes with it, you don't express yourself as we do in English. So that's a huge thing that they have to, it takes a long time to get to that point. And then also you have conversational English versus the kind of more proper English which we would use like a math or a science. Mr. Holzman in the video, he actually talked about how he uses translators and how that can help with subjects like math and science. But the fact is we have 2 translators, I think, in the whole high school working with kids. There are so many more English language learners in the high school who go to science and they're learning the periodic table. They don't know those words in their own language. How are they supposed to know the words in English? So that's another part of that language barrier. Sorry. And so, you look at the timeline from thriving to surviving. And to get from just surviving to that point where they are thriving, you need so much in the way of academic success and social success. Academically, that's where those translators come in. That's where having a teacher who is willing to help you, that's where that really comes into play. And having someone who isn't willing to help you, that is an incredible obstacle to have to deal with. And then you have the social acceptance. And for a lot of these kids who come here, they get so isolated, or they put up this barrier, and it kind of generates this whole negative feeling about where they are, or just this incredible sense of homesickness. And to have that is such a burden on one's shoulders. And you really, it takes a lot to get over that. So the best way to gain that social acceptance is by simply getting involved. The biggest advice I can give to any immigrant in the future, or if any of you guys ever go overseas or whatever, and get involved in a sport, a club, theater, something. That is huge. That can really, really, I mean, you saw it in the video, and you can see it in the photographs, and you can see it in the immigrants themselves. Those who get involved have such a better kind of understanding of how things work here. They make friends easier, they get involved. The worst thing in the world is for a new student, whether an immigrant or whatever, is to be at lunchtime, and everyone sits, they go sit at lunch tables, they go sit in the hallway, they're sitting with their friends, and then they're stuck sitting there alone. That is one of the worst experiences that you can go through. So it's as easy as someone else saying hi, or trying to include them in the group, trying to say, come sit with me at lunch or something to that extent. And so I'll go into sports a little bit. I mean, the way that our, first world kind of layout works is really foreign to students who come from maybe third or second world countries, where you have all this paperwork, the medical needs to be done. There's meetings that you have to attend, all these things. An immigrant student is not going to know that, and an immigrant parent is going to know probably less about it because they're not hearing those really annoying announcements. But they're going to miss the deadlines, and they're eventually going to not be able to participate in the sport. And I mean, you can ask an immigrant student who's experienced that and missed the deadlines and not be able to play a sport that they love. That is so frustrating, and that just builds up that anger, and they're not going to thrive either socially or academically in that way. And when I say that they're not going to thrive academically, well, what's the point? Whatever, who cares? Nah, that's not the case. These people came here for that opportunity to thrive and to have what we Americans take for granted every day. So that's why, ESL teachers like Ms. Black do what they do, to give them that opportunity they came looking for. And you have the one pattern that I noticed is you have, how old are you when you come here? The younger you are, the more successful you will be, because you have a longer time to learn language. It's more likely that you're going to get involved. Like if you come here in elementary school, you're going to have recess, all that stuff. The older you are, the harder it is. And so if you come here in your 40s, imagine how hard that's going to be. You're going to be so set in your ways with your old culture that you come here and it's just it's night and day, and you are so much less willing to adapt. There's a lot less in the way of how can they get involved because they are at that age, unless you have like a job where they are striving to involve you, but that's a different circumstance. And then immigrant parents, while I'm on that subject, the American system is so strange as compared to everywhere else. I mean, you have GPA and you have all the endless amounts of things that, like credits and all that stuff, that's so unfamiliar to someone who comes from somewhere else. I mean, speaking for myself, I didn't know what college was till I was in 8th grade. Like, I didn't even think about that, and kids here are thinking about that from elementary school, so it's a completely different atmosphere. But at the same time, when you have such a minimal exposure as some of these kids have to local students, it's hard to learn those kind of things. And then another thing about that, getting involved, on that note, a lot of immigrant parents, they are so focused on the academics and are they going to succeed academically. Well, I would encourage any immigrant parent to say, okay, go try out for that sports team, go be a part of this club, because that in the end will be so much more helpful to them, because they will make friends and they will learn the language and they will learn the culture, and that helps them so much more than just working on the academics. Because if you're working on the academics, then you're going to be isolated, you're not going to be as happy as you would be having something else, some kind of outlet or something to make those relationships. And then a big part is like the socioeconomic thing. This is a very well-off town, but you do have two sides. You have those who come here and have the money to be stable, and it's going to be a less stressful transition. But those who come here and maybe their parents gave up everything that they had back where they were to come here, those kids often have to work like 40 hours a week if they can, and that hinders their involvement. So being able to give them extra time as a teacher or as a friend, give them whatever you can, that will make a huge difference, because kids who do have to work like that, they're sacrificing so much of their social life or so much of their academic life in order to help their family get by. Okay, I'm just going to take a step back here. As a journalist, call me that, I'm supposed to observe and capture what I see happening before me. That was impossible to do with this project. These families and these individuals are so inspiring and so warm-hearted. As Ms. Black said in the video, there's just such a sense of family that you see in these people, and I couldn't help but get involved in their lives. And for the kids who were struggling to do well here, I did whatever I could to kind of get them involved. And so with that and with all the insights that I've gathered, I've basically come up with a list of kind of recommendations for next year. And my brother, Ben, who's going to be a junior next year, and the historian, shout out to you, B-Lane, he actually met with some people yesterday, some of the administrators and whatnot, about getting some kind of club or some kind of program going where we have local students, kids who have already immigrated, and maybe someone similar to the culture of a future immigrant, be the first ones down in guidance when these kids come in, and be their first friends, and be the kind of networking opportunity for these kids to find out what they're passionate about, find out what they're like, and to introduce them to people who are like them, and who, so they can form those relationships, and so they're not so isolated, and they don't feel like they just are waiting to go home. Because there's no reason for that. It's as simple as saying, hello, how are you, where are you from, can I help you, so on and so forth. I'm really excited for where that's going to go. I really hope that this project does the impact that I want it to. And I mean, a program like that would be so powerful. So that's, I think, pretty much all I wanted to say. I encourage you guys to go on my website, read the individual stories. They are nothing short of incredible, what these kids go through and what they've done to get there. And so I just have a few thank yous. Thank you so much to Mr. Flock. You are my dude. Really great friends. And I couldn't have written these stories without him. And I've learned so much. If you know my work and you knew the Unsung Heroes, this is like on another level compared to that. So thank you for that. Ms. Everhart, you are unbelievable. I don't know what half this, for those who don't know, she's the Option 2 coordinator, the most incredible program I've ever been a part of. And it's absolutely inspiring what she inspires others to do. And I wouldn't be who I am without her. So thanks, Ms. Epps. And then thanks to my family. Obviously this wasn't free, so thanks for having faith in me with that. Really appreciate that. Ben, I know you'll do great things in the future, so keep doing you. Mom, Dad, you guys are okay. Just kidding. Thanks for everything and supporting me as much as you do. It means a lot. And of course, thank you to the families, the students, the teachers who helped these immigrants so much. And thank you to everyone who's ever helped a newcomer or ever helped someone who you didn't know, because you have no idea how much of an impact you can make. I mean, I met with, I actually ran into my 5th grade teacher, Mr. North, who was, the first person I met when I came here. And when I came here, he shook my hand and he said, "Oh, you're Josh, you're from England." I was like, "Yeah, that's me." And without him, I don't think I would have done as well as I did when I got here. So thank you for that, and I encourage you all to, in that spirit, remember that helping others is the greatest thing, and you feel so good when you see these kids succeed. So thank you everybody for coming in. If you have any questions, I got some time, so I'm just not going to do homework tonight, I guess. So feel free to ask me if you have anything. Thank you all for coming. It means a lot. Thank you so much.